In this video, you're going to learn 5 reasons that you should have weekly worship rehearsals. So, if you don't currently have weekly worship rehearsals, watch this video and learn why you should have them. If you do currently have them, then be encouraged by these 5 things that weekly worship rehearsals allow you to accomplish in your worship ministry. Coming up. Hey, Spencer here from leadingworshipwell.com. This is the place where we talk about how to lead yourself well, lead your church well, and lead worship well. So if you're interested in that, click subscribe down below and let's get into it, because today we're talking about one of my favorite things to talk about, and that is worship rehearsals. In fact, I even put something together for you for this video called the Worship Rehearsal Blueprint. You can check it out down in the description below, and it'll show you how to have the perfect worship rehearsal. But the point of this video is not to show you how to run a worship rehearsal. It's to show you why you need a worship rehearsal, or if you're already doing worship rehearsals, what the benefit of them are. So we're going to be talking about why you should have a worship rehearsal. Before we get into that, though, I want to hear from you. Do you currently have a weekly worship rehearsal? I understand some churches do them like throughout the week. Some people just rehearse before Sunday mornings, and it's a little bit more than just a run through of the songs. That's what I'm talking about whenever it's a weekly worship rehearsal. So, do you have that in your church right now? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll talk to you in a second. Thanks so much for leaving your answer down below. Let's get into 5 benefits, 5 reasons that I think you in your worship ministry should have a worship rehearsal every single week. The first reason you should have a weekly worship rehearsal is because it gives you time to communicate vision to your team. When you just show up on Sunday and run through the songs and then lead the songs and then go home and show up next week and do it all over again, when do you have time to communicate vision to your worship team in any meaningful amount? You just show up on Sunday and you play through the songs. But if we want to lead our worship ministries, then leaders have vision for the future, and part of that vision for the future involves communicating that vision to our team of what the future looks like. And you don't get that chance when you just show up for sound check and run through your songs on a Sunday morning. So weekly worship rehearsals provide a time for you to communicate vision to your team, and not just one time. It's not like, okay, team, I want you to show up a half an hour early this Sunday morning, or we're going to meet one time a year to have a vision team night. Those are fine things to do, but a weekly worship rehearsal allows you to weekly communicate the vision of your worship ministry to your team. And that's how you actually accomplish change in your worship team. So if you have a worship team who's been doing the same thing for the past 5 years and you want things to change, you have to communicate what you want to change, and you're not going to do that if you only show up on Sundays and lead the songs and then go home. So a weekly rehearsal provides that opportunity for you to communicate the vision that you have for your worship ministry to your worship team, so that you're all on the same page and you can move together to fulfill that vision together as one team. The second thing a weekly worship rehearsal allows you to do is it allows worship team members to foster relationships with each other. It allows them to build their relationships with each other. You get a little bit of that on Sunday morning if you're just showing up and running through your songs, but you don't get as much of it as spending a different night of the week or a different day of the week apart from just Sunday. You get to come in to church and you aren't thinking like, okay, I have to lead worship today, so I've got a million other things to think about. You are thinking, I'm preparing to lead worship with this team, and in the process, you build relationships, and you even have more time as a leader to create more environments where people can build relationships together. For example, in the worship rehearsal blueprint that I've linked down below, in that, I teach you not just how to lead your team musically. You wouldn't even necessarily need a worship rehearsal for that. You could just say, hey, learn your parts for Sunday and then show up. But we also want to lead our team well spiritually, but also relationally as well, so that they're connected together. When we are connected together as one team and not just a band of musicians who all stand in their own corner and play their own parts, when we're connected as a team, we're able to lead our church better because we're functioning as one unit. There's so many almost intangible benefits of just building relationships with your worship team that allows you to do so much more than just a band that gets together to play music. And worship rehearsals are the time for you to build relationships with your worship team on a consistent basis. Obviously, there are other things that we can do outside of Sunday mornings and even outside of worship rehearsals to build relationships with our worship team, but worship rehearsals, at least in my ministry, how I run things, serve as like the regular environment that we get together with our team and build relationships while preparing to lead on Sunday. So consider that for why you should have worship rehearsals. It helps you build relationships with your team. The third reason that you should have weekly worship rehearsals is because it allows you to succeed when you need to take a week off. Here's what I mean by that. It allows you to succeed when you need to take a week off, because when we consistently put in the work beforehand, then when we don't have the time to put in the work beforehand, maybe it's like summer and everybody's gone on vacation for that week, but they can be there on Sunday, you can say to your team, okay, I know that we're all busy this week and we can't get together for rehearsal, but I'm still confident that we can show up on Sunday and do what we need to do because we have put in so much work beforehand that it's not going to mess us up if we take off just 1 week here. And that's something I don't think people think about oftentimes, is like, yes, we should be having weekly worship rehearsals, but that doesn't mean that you're committed to a weekly worship rehearsal for the rest of your life from here until eternity. We have weekly worship rehearsals so that if the need arises, we can take time off and be like, we're not going to do what we usually do this week because I know that you're prepared, and we're going to pick songs that I know that we know because we've gone over them a million times at worship rehearsals. That's the benefit of proper preparation. Proper preparation allows us to step back every once in a while and maybe not be as properly prepared as we should be, even though obviously that's the aim every time we lead worship. But in reality, it doesn't always happen that way, right? Sometimes you need to just pick 4 songs that you already know really well and show up on Sunday and play them. And weekly worship rehearsals allow you to have that attitude. Let's contrast that with if you just show up on Sunday mornings and play 5 new songs every Sunday, which is obviously an exaggeration, but maybe it's not. Maybe that's what you do in your church. I know some churches do that. If you're showing up on Sunday morning and you spend an hour beforehand learning your songs for that morning, you can't skip that time, because then you would be completely out of the water for whenever it's time to lead worship, because you haven't put in the reps to be able to just show up and do what you need to do. So weekly worship rehearsals allow you to take off time and still succeed. The fourth reason you should have weekly worship rehearsals is because it gives your team a chance to improve. When you're only showing up and doing the job that you were assigned, you never go beyond that. You never have time to think about, okay, we're really struggling in this song, and so we need to focus on this specific part. I understand that maybe you take 5 minutes or something on a Sunday morning to do that, but that's not the same as spending 15, 20 minutes on a specific song just for the sake of improving it during your weekly worship rehearsals. Your weekly worship rehearsals allow you to take that time and to go above and beyond. And then I'll mention it again. I'm going to mention it 50 times throughout this video. But in the worship rehearsal blueprint that I've linked down in the description below, I also walk you through these times. There's this devotional time, but sometimes we use that devotional time and we replace it with a musical time where we just focus on improving the musicality of our team. And instead of spending 15-20 minutes on a devotional, we spend 15-20 minutes on a worship team exercise that improves our musicianship. You don't get that time if you're just showing up on Sunday morning to play the songs and then going home. So if you want your team to improve, it's not going to happen on Sunday morning, usually. It's going to happen during your worship rehearsals throughout the week, where you can focus specifically on something that you want to improve upon. And finally, number 5, the 5th reason you should have weekly worship rehearsals is because I believe it communicates the importance of worship leading. Think about what it communicates when you tell somebody, hey, you can show up 5 minutes before the service starts and we're just going to get on stage and go for it. Versus, hey, I'm sorry, you can't lead this Sunday because we don't just show up 5 minutes before. We actually put in a lot of work beforehand during our weekly worship rehearsals, or maybe it's a Sunday morning worship rehearsal for you, whatever works in your environment. But we don't just show up on Sunday morning and play these songs. We actually put in a lot of work beforehand because we believe that what we do is important on Sunday, so it requires a lot more of our time than just showing up on Sunday and doing it. We actually spend like an hour and a half to 2 hours in rehearsal during the week and then time on our own learning the songs. Do you hear the difference between those two attitudes? When you have weekly worship rehearsals, you're communicating to people who want to join your worship team, and even to your church members themselves. When they hear that you have weekly worship rehearsals, they understand that you take worship leading seriously. You communicate that it is important to you because we spend our time on things that we think are important. So spend your time preparing to lead worship, and it will be more important to you, and people will see the importance of worship leading in your life. There they were, 5 reasons that you should have a weekly worship rehearsal. And I know that I talked about the worship rehearsal blueprint. I said it was linked down in the description below like 50 times in this video, but I forgot that that's not what I wanted to talk about in this video. I wanted to talk about the fact that this coming week, as of me posting this video, I'm going to be launching the Worship Team Growth Plan. It's a training that I put together where I will show you how to find, develop, and recruit high-capacity worship team volunteers. In that training, I teach you everything from how to develop your current worship team volunteers. I take you through the complete process of setting up a process for people to go through to join your worship team. So I show you how to set up an application form. I give you the interview process. I even give you like the code of conduct that you can use in your worship ministry. You can just like copy and paste it basically. And then I even go as far to show you how to keep people on your worship team and make sure that they stay on your worship team. So if that sounds like something you're interested in and you're interested in growing your worship team this year, finding more worship team members, not just random people off the street, but high capacity worship team volunteers who can lead alongside you and serve your church well, make sure to sign up for the launch list down in the description below for the Worship Team Growth Plan, and you will be the first to know when that's available next week, starting on Monday. Thanks so much for joining me today. Until I see you in the next video, keep leading worship well.